Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Terrace Scottish Football Podcast. I am your host Craig Fowler and this is part 3 of our extended review of the Scottish Premiership weekend. Because there was games on Saturday, Sunday and Monday, we have split into 3 parts, so if you've not listened to the other 2, please go back and listen to those. I talked to Craig Cairns on Saturday about the matches involving Motherwell, Rangers, Killie, Livingston. I talked to Gary about the 3 games that took place on Sunday. A very miserable Gary, I should add, because his Dundee team are absolute pish. And now I am joined by the one, the only, my fellow happy Jambo, after Hearts defeated Aberdeen 2-0 at Tynecastle on Monday to kick off the season, to kick off the Derek McInnes era in the top flight. It is Joel Sked. Joel, how's it going?
Yes, good. It's nice to have a couple of days where lots of Aberdeen fans are not in my mentions talking about Hearts being a yo-yo club or this or that. So yes, it's nice wee break.
It's became a often repeated line in the group chat to the point where it got very annoying. Quiet in here, boys. Quiet in here. But yeah, Hearts won 2-0. I mean, a fairly even game at Tynecastle. I think Hearts were the better side, but there wasn't a lot in it. Aberdeen had a higher XG than Hearts at the end of the game. I thought that, and it's certainly for prolonged periods in the second half, put Hearts under a bit of pressure. But I don't know, maybe it was me. I'm going to fully put my hands up. I was pissed at yesterday's game. It was very much got carried away, excited for the first game of the new season. The first game with a season ticket again for, Christ, about 10, 15 years ago was the last one I had one. And so maybe my analysis is not great, but that was how I kind of saw it. I thought that Hearts edged it and just about deserved it in the end. But on another day, Aberdeen, especially with kind of some of the pressure, could have done maybe more in the final third, could have had a proper functioning striker, and that might have made things different. But the home team just about deserved this one.
Yeah, I watched the game again this morning, flicked through it, and wasn't impressed with Aberdeen. I had an alright spell in the start of the second half, and there was lively moments. Milanovic looked good in terms of dribbling. Owish or Awachichi, or I can't remember how to pronounce his surname. Again, he showed that he's...
We settled on Achichi, on the preview podcast.
He looks technically gifted. Keskinen was very quiet, and then Yengi. So you look at the closest Aberdeen came through him, and I think it was telling that the one where he didn't know anything about went closer to goal than the one that was an absolute sitter that he missed right in front of the goal. So yeah, either of those go in and it kind of changes direction and momentum of the game. But I think even Aberdeen fans would accept, well, most Aberdeen fans I think would accept that over the piece, Hearts were the better team and deserved the win, and just thought that, well, Hearts weren't great themselves. It was a strong first half performance. Didn't really create too many clear-cut chances. Didn't take advantage of the opportunities that were created, especially wide areas. That was either side of the half, or Grevink his crossing let him down in key areas. But the intensity, the attitude, the willingness to make it difficult for Aberdeen, it was all there from Hearts. And I think that was a big positive, big encouragement, big takeaway from the Hearts side of things, is that the crowd really took to what Hearts were doing on the pitch in terms of the way they were going about their business.
Do you know what I really liked for this game? There was a distinct lack of square passes being played between Frankie Kent and Craig Halkett, which is something that Hearts fans have had to suffer, if not necessarily those two players, but just centre-halves in general, over the last... Pretty much since Nielsen came back. I thought Nielsen's style of play was a bit kind of harshly reviewed by Hearts fans, but it was a continuation. Nielsen to McInnes to a lot of Critchley's games as well were kind of like that. And Hearts fans were just kind of fed up with it. And then they just got a style of play that they've seen for too long. It has its merits. I think it's often been overstated how bad it has been to watch, but there's certainly times you're like, right, come on, get on with it. And this was definitely a match where you could see the kind of new blueprint is to not necessarily go long. I wouldn't say Hearts were like a long ball team on Monday night, but there was directness, there was purpose, there was getting it forward quickly and then playing it from there.
I noticed one of the key things, and I'm really the I'm really big on this, is that Hearts shouldn't have 60% of the ball. Never should have 60% of the ball, because that's where it comes into the defenders just passing amongst each other. I always think Hearts are best when they have not got, so like last night, I think it was 48% possession. That's ideal. That's exactly where I want Hearts to have how much of the ball I want Hearts to have, is because when you do have the ball, it's about playing forward, about being direct. If you lose it, that's fine. Just win it back, rather than long periods of sterile control. And yeah, there was a few moments where the back three would knock it about, but then it wasn't prolonged. They'd always try and get it wide quickly, whether it was to Milne or Bogrevink, and we've seen that in the first half where I'll probably pronounce his name 3 different times, but Borkovic played a couple of diagonal balls. It wasn't just him, Kent, Halkett as well, trying to get Milne out on the left as well. So yeah, it was good to see a far more progressive team than some of the pish we've had to watch.
I just call Christian. His name's Christian.
Yes, Borch.
The boy Christian at right back. It's to go through some of the kind of individuals for this one. Firstly, I mean, I think there was, from talking to people after the game, there was kind of 2 standout candidates for the man of the match, and people could have seemed to pick one or the other, which was Craig Halkett and Cammy Devlin. Now, Devlin don't really need it was kind of like a Cammy Devlin performance. If you listen to this podcast, if you've seen him play and you've seen him at his best, you kind of know exactly what we're talking about. This was exactly the type of game in which he thrives, and I think he might thrive on the whole in the McInnes style of play as the season goes on. And it'll be interesting because, as I've said many times, I don't think him and Benny are a good fit as a partnership. So it'll be interesting to see how they are kind of almost rotated once Benny's back.
I thought last night was a really good role for him, where it was, because I kind of thought it was going to be Devlin and McEntee and then Spittle in front of him, but it was like flipped. Devlin was behind the two of them, and it just allowed him. It was a very mature performance. He wasn't going charging about, but everything he did was with he'd be really committed and with purpose. And then when he got the ball, he would play quickly and it was uncomplicated, and he would just give it to someone else. That's what you want from Cammy Devlin. That's the ideal role within that team for him.
But my personal man of the match was skinny Craig Halkett. He's back. 21-22, Craig Halkett is back.
Put him in the middle of the back three, and he thrives.
It's also the fact that he thrives, that he has clearly lost weight over the summer, and that is something that Hearts fans have said. Now, obviously, you always need to litigate this a little bit, because when you talk about footballers being overweight, they're not overweight in a sense of a normal human being. In fact, they're fucking in great shape. You would kill to be a quote-unquote overweight footballer. But you know that, like, at this level, most players are just skinny as fuck, because that's what it demands. They need to be like pure athletes. They need to run so much, etc., etc. And you can see when guys gain just a few pounds. And I always think as well, modern day football tops don't hide that either. Like, they're all skin tight as anything, so you can see it, and you can see it with Halkett over the last couple of seasons. And I think I said this in the group chat at one point last season, where it must have been like the anniversary, so it would have been around about October, November time, where it was kind of came up on. It must have been like, I think maybe Hearts posted it. It was Halkett's goal at Ibrox in the 21-22 season, and I remember just watching it on Twitter, and I said in the group chat, I was like, "Fucking hell, he's so much thinner then than he is now. He's like noticeably thinner," and that was a common complaint amongst Hearts fans, that when especially after he suffers injury issues, he seems to put on a little bit of weight, and then he comes back, and it takes him a while to get back up to speed. There's I put that, and there's like the Halkett cycle there's a graphic that's been shared around on Twitter before about, like, it just happens all the time that he gets in shape, starts playing well, gets injured, out of shape, poor form, starts playing well, injured, so far, so forth. But hopefully this is the period of him, because like I said, 21-22, he was pretty much injury-free that entire season. And if he can stay injury-free this entire season as well, then he's immediately one of the best pure, like, centre-halves in the league. Like, he's up there in terms of, like, top 2 or 3 in terms of just pure defenders in the Scottish Premiership when he is playing like this.
I mean, he's up there. He's if he's not the best, he's in amongst the top 3 in terms of his aerial prowess. Still last night, he's 88%, won 88% of his aerial duels, and there was quite a few. He had contested quite a lot of them. He is one of the first names on the team sheet for me when everyone's fit, and it's just frustrating because you look at his game time at Livy. I think he played like 40 plus games in every season at Livy, and then he came to Hearts, and it's not quite worked out that way. But I always felt that, because I'd heard murmurings that him and he could be one to depart this summer, and I'm glad. I'm always like, I would have been a wee bit disappointed if he did go, because I knew he'd probably go somewhere and play. He'd go and play 45 games or 50 games this season. But also just knowing what he brings to the team when fit. And he has also just got that, there's going to be a turnover of players, that continuity, understanding of Scottish football, etc., etc. But yeah, he is the perfect player for that middle of the back three, and even the right side of a back four, like him and Finlay. I think it can't be debated out of the two best in terms of a mid centre back partnership.
Yeah, Finlay had a good debut with a goal, and that's actually, like, I've managed to so far get through the weekend with a VAR complaint, but I'm going to have one now. Not that there's wrong decisions or anything, but it's just shit as a fan. Like, see when Shankland scored that goal. Obviously, I sit low down in the main stand to like the right of the cameras, so I'm other end for that. So I see no reason. I have no idea that Craig Halkett's offside. So when Shankland scores, I lose my shit, because why would I not? You know, I'm a Hearts fan there. Shankland's just scored an absolute belter. You know, he's back. He's back in form. He scored against his old team. You know, Hearts and Aberdeen, not exactly the best of friends. But then it's called back, and it's like, for fuck's sake. And then later on, I thought Finlay went early. I thought he was going to get disallowed, so I didn't celebrate. And that's just shit. Yeah. As a football fan, that's shit. Like, team scored a big goal. So it scored twice in the game. Hearts went 2-0 up. One was disallowed. That was the one I celebrated. And the one that actually counted, I didn't celebrate because I thought it was going to get disallowed. It stops the momentum of the game, and then it's just the time, and then it's the fact that Shankland knew he was offside when he scored that. He knew he was offside, and it took them fucking ages to work out that it was offside. It was like just get there quicker. And I just thought Nick Walsh, again, I'm not one to talk about referees, but I just thought Nick Walsh was straight. It was just over officious. Over officious, is that the correct term? Yeah. It's a word.
I just felt he was just like, it's like he wanted to like make his mark on the game. It's like, right, I'm in control of this. Just don't let it spill over. If that means you're having a red card for, that's fine. Just let it spill over and let a few things go.
Or Aberdeen. Is there really much else to say other than the fact that it's hard? I always feel it hard to analyse Aberdeen from this game, because Yengi was that bad, and I just don't know how this team would function with a properly functioning centre forward.
So I think it is difficult to read into Aberdeen. So if I express not my fears for them, but the Drew comparisons to Hearts 12 months ago, that I thought they would be undercooked. That they still clearly need work done in the transfer window. I think they're still looking for 4 players. They're looking at that AC Milan striker. Desperately need to maybe put another extra zero on the bid after watching last night. But they're obvious, and they only play 3 pre-season games. Like, that's not good. That's not good coming into a game, especially where you know the opposition are going to be right up for it and kind of just really in your face and hunting you. So I do think it will take time for Aberdeen to get up to speed now. They should have perhaps learned lessons from Hearts last season, but if I was an Aberdeen fan, I'd be encouraged by the potential of Milanovic and Keskinen, even though he was quiet. Yengi, he doesn't look good, does he? But again, I'd want to completely write him off after one game. That snap judgment.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I think it's also, we're probably also slightly biased by the fact that we've heard reports from Aberdeen fans who've seen him in pre-season friendlies and are very much not impressed, and that just bore fruit at Tynecastle. It was a continuation of what you'd heard.
If I was an Aberdeen fan, I'd be looking at defence and thinking that needs upgraded. Or at least, I know they've got a couple of guys.
Tobers wasn't available. I think him and Noster are the starting two when they're both fit. Milne, there is a there's like hopes for in terms of his future prospects and what he could turn into. He's just not that polished at this point in time, and he's struggled a little bit, I would say.
Jensen's a big thumbs down for me, and left back as well. I know Shinnie was in there, and I think a very solid option going forward. They'd obviously brought in Gamfi, and but he's got injured straight away. So there is issues, and they were a wee bit disjointed. They got a foothold in the game second half, and I think everything seemed to go through Clarkson. It just seemed like an undercooked performance, and I just look at Aberdeen and Jimmy Tillene's got loads of credit in the bag to the Scottish Cup win, and I just think if it wasn't for that, I think he'd potentially be under pressure at the start of this season. It's not an easy start, like complete contrast to last season where they had a very good fixture list to get up and running, whereas it's a difficult one this time around, and especially with that very winnable Europa League playoff around the corner. And it just feels like they're not quite ready for the season beginning. They could have done with another couple of weeks.
I thought it was quite surprising and quite telling as well, and it shows you how far Esther Sockler has fallen in Jimmy Tillene's mind, that Fletcher Boyd, a 17-year-old who, I mean, I'm assuming he did play last season. I can't remember him playing.
He did.
Right, but somebody you barely saw last season coming on instead of more established strikers shows you that they are kind of really toiling in that area, and they do really need to bring somebody in. That Yengi chance, it's not just a bad miss. It's how much he cushions it. It's almost like he's a defender just conceding another set piece. I'm just going to knock this out for a corner and then we'll go again. He was about 4 yards out, and Xander Clark was still that's away. Not even any dive or anything. Just that's not going in.
It was really, really poor. Like I said, it just summed up that his effort in the first half, which he had fucking no idea about, kind of dropped and hit the back of the post. So yeah, I think last night you really saw two teams. One team who have made real good progress in the summer and kind of been building towards this, whereas against a team who are still very much finding their feet.
Before we finish, Joel, quickly if you can, yes. I know you're in a bit of a rush to get away. Tony Bloom, he spoke to the Foundation of Hearts members it was a Foundation of Hearts event in terms of a meet and greet, talk to fans, yada, yada, yada. He comes out, he does not shy away from his ambitions. He says the days of a two-horse race in Scottish football are over. He'll be very disappointed if Hearts don't win a title within 10 years. I'm watching all this through the cracks of my fingers going, oh, please shut up. But what did you make of it all?
Brilliant. That's I was fully on to the Romanoff promises and ambitions. Just lay it all out and give fans something to believe in, a wee bit of excitement, a wee bit of hope. That's better than being miserable and just going, oh, it's always going to be the same with Celtic and Rangers finishing top two. Very, very ambitious, and I can understand. I'm not surprised by the reaction at all. On one hand, you've got Hearts fans who are really bought into it, really excited, and are really hopeful of a brighter future. And then you've got fans of other teams, whether it's Celtic, Rangers, Hibs, and Aberdeen. I've heard a lot from fans of Hibs and Aberdeen over the last few days. One of those going on X, and there's the 20+ sign as your notifications. Oh yeah, there's going to be a few some abuse directed, whether it's me or Tony Bloom, and I can understand this.
It's like the Jim Carrey, me, myself, and Irene gif. Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah, but I can understand that. I can understand that skepticism and scrutiny as well, because we've heard it all before about splitting Celtic and Rangers, and it's in the past it's been fanciful, and again this is a Hearts side that finished bottom 6 last season, you have to remember. So that was always going to be the case, where people were going to kind of laugh at it. Tony Bloom alluded to that as well when he had to sit down with the media on Monday, and it's just in Scotland we're so ingrained that Celtic and Rangers, and there's never really been a sustained threat over the last since Aberdeen in the late 90s. So it was always going to be. It was always going to raise
late 80s, Joe.
Yeah,
not
80s,
late
sorry.
90s. Aberdeen were absolute pish in the late 90s.
Sorry, late 80s, early 90s. And so yeah, I was always going to raise eyebrows. I'm all for it. I would have loved to have seen Derek McInnes's reaction when he got told about Tony Bloom's comments, especially because the following day when he sat down in the media, he kind of reiterated a few things, and he said this season Hearts should be looking to finish second. Or something along the lines of there's no reason why Hearts can't finish second.
Second. All Rangers are shite, but come on.
Yeah. And then talk of being when he's talked of the coefficient, and when Hearts win the league, he wants to go straight into the Champions League rather than having to play qualifiers. So, he's really laid it out. But again, it's not like, look back at it, it's not like someone like Romanov coming out and saying it where it's like a lot of bravado and grandstanding. This guy is very successful.
Lunacy. He's not, Tony Bloom's not saying this while dressing up a monkey in a Scottish Sun t-shirt.
No, exactly. Whereas Tony Bloom has, and he talked about it, he went into Union Saint-Gilloise and they had the same ideas of what they've achieved, but they were guarded with their ambition. They didn't really say that publicly. And then he's seen what's happened at Union Saint-Gilloise, and it's given him more belief that this will happen at Hearts. And that's why he's really happy to say it. And you have to take it the fact that he's had really good success at Brighton and Union Saint-Gilloise, and obviously success at each club is measured differently, and he believes that Hearts can follow in those footsteps. And who's to say that he's not allowed to believe that, considering his success, both football wise and his business success.
So yeah, that's my positive side of it. Like, I'd rather he probably didn't say that. I'd rather they didn't give these comments to easily be brought up time and time again, and for it to go on and just to be a bit like the Yan Danda stuff last season, where it just ends up being embarrassing. I'd rather that wasn't the case. But at the same time, like you say, he's a man who's like known nothing but success in pretty much anything he's done, and the fact that not that I doubted like at all that he was like not fully invested in this, but it kind of just reiterated that, oh no, he's got a bit of passion about this, and with his prior success, you still can't help. You're a football fan after all. Like, I know we've got no hope in Scottish football of winning titles, because that's just because we've had 39 years of evidence that it's not going to happen. Or Christ, 40 years. 40 years now. 40 years now that it's just not going to happen. But you're still a football fan. The hope is still what kind of keeps you going. And it's just hard not to listen to this man, like I say, who's just had success wherever he's went, and say those things and think, because even you think, like, even if we don't do it, finishing second once in the next 10 years would be fucking class.
Yeah. And that's saying I'd rather be given this excitement and ambition, hope, and fail miserably, rather than the acceptance of the limitations of our aim are to win an odd cup every X amount of years, finish third, and maybe try and get close to the old firm. Much rather live in a world where we're trying to push, and even if it goes tits up, fine. We've been there and done that before. Let's live it again.
Exactly. Right, Joel, I'll need to let you get out here. I did want to talk to you about Jurassic World Rebirth, but I'll just let you go for the meantime. We'll have that conversation another time.
We can have that conversation on Thursday when we do our Euro roundup.
Okay, fair enough. Yes, let's do it then. So if you want to listen to that, tune in to Patreon, patreon.com/tennis podcast. There's also the tennis quiz is coming again soon in 2 weeks' time. So make sure you get your tickets for that. You'll find the link on our Twitter, and I'll stick a link in the description for this podcast. But Joel, thank you very much for joining me.
No problem at all. I'm going to watch Dominion tomorrow night.
Terrible movie. Thank you to everybody for listening, and we will talk to you again soon. Sean and Tilfer will be back later this week. Until then, goodbye.